Hi, I am Melissa, and I have an autistic son. My son is 10 years old, and he is completely nonverbal. He doesn't speak at all, and he tends not to notice or interact with or respond to what other people say at all. People tell him to sit down, and he doesn't react at all, and that kind of thing. Um, and he's very prone to wandering or elopement. It's a huge problem with many families who have children on the spectrum. He's driven by something inside him to wander off, and it's he doesn't feel like, oh, where's mom, I need to go find her, or oh, where's my sister, I haven't seen her in a minute. He'll see something that he wants to go and look at, and he'll just take off that direction. And we could be at a park and he could be headed to the street. We could be at a store and he could be heading out the emergency exit. There's not really a way to predict what things are going to catch his attention, so the only thing that we can do is to be constantly vigilant. And when we're in a big crowded place, never to take our hand off his wrist, or never to let go of his hand. If we're at home, we have to keep locks on the doors, and we have to put in a code in order to unlock them from the inside, because otherwise he'll unlock the deadbolt and be out the door. And we can't let him play in the backyard by himself, because he'll jump over the fence and run away. And we discovered this a couple of months ago, when that's exactly what happened. He waited until he watched to see if we were otherwise occupied. I was crafting with my daughter. My parents were in town, and mom was washing dishes, and dad was sitting in the living room and keeping an eye on him. And Jameson waited until we were all looking in some other direction, and was able to jump the fence and take off to the park. And the park where I live has a big spring in it, and it's big and deep and fast. And he was getting into the water when another family there saw him, and called him kind of over to them and helped him put his clothes back on, and all of that. And by that point, of course, we were frantically searching the house, and I'd called the police, and my dad had taken off in his car to go drive the neighborhood and see if they could find him. The police called me back about 90 seconds after I got off the phone with him, and saying, okay, they found him, he's at the park. And so we went and met him, and the officers there, they met us there at the park with Eli. And Eli is the trailing dog that the police officers got from Scent Evidence Canine, and he's been trained brilliantly to find people by scent. And I can't. If there was a way for me to communicate to you the overwhelming emotion of learning that not only is there this help, this option around, like out in the world, but right here, right where I need it. I've lived in this town for about a year, and it's been tough. I'm a newly single mom, and trying to keep my kids safe without much of a social network, without any of that, has been a struggle. And I've looked into in the past, wondering if there was a way to train a service dog for my son, specifically to be able to track him if he runs away, or even to bark if he starts taking off, but they're like $12,000 and up, and I can't afford that, and it's crushingly awful, feeling like the only thing standing between your son and tragedy is your own infallibility, because I'm not infallible, and I do my best every single day, but my best is still a human best. My best is one person doing their best. And when I was standing there with the two officers, and they were telling me about what it is that Eli can do, and telling me about, they told me about someone that he had found, that he tracked him over like 72 or 73 hours, and that he could trail someone through, even if he got into a vehicle and drove off. And it was just, I almost started crying because I'm not in it alone. Like, Eli being there in my town doesn't change my routine. It doesn't make it any less important for me to keep the doors locked, or for me to, keep my hand entwined with Jay's when we're crossing the street, or anything like that. What it changes is I'm no longer the only barrier between my son and being lost forever. I'm no longer having to go this alone, because it's no longer just up to me, that there is someone who can help. And honestly, this is perhaps the most life-changing news. Even though it doesn't change the routine, it changes the anxiety level. It changes the crushing anxiety and weight of just feeling alone in it, and that's difficult to express because it sounds really cliche, and it doesn't sound like it should be that big of a deal, because y'all aren't going to be coming in and helping me make sure that he has enough to eat, and making sure that he gets enough rest and all of that kind of stuff. And it's like, whenever someone is neurotypical, a lot of the time our society's infrastructure is already built to keep you safe, because you already, in general, you understand some of the basic, what is that word? The default settings of how to be safe in our society, because our society is set up for people who are neurotypical. And Jameston's not neurotypical, and he has needs that can't be met by the normal mainstream society. And so all of those default settings that allow parents of neurotypical children to turn their attention to, higher Maslow's needs, things that aren't just about security and aren't just about your basic survival. Everybody needs help. Every parent needs help. And when the structure of our society is set up to help you meet those basic needs, then you can turn your attention to higher ones. But with Jameston, it's the exceptional things and the outliers, and it's the people going above and beyond that make his life safe. And I really hope that, in my horrible rambling way, that I've been able to express to you just how much you and what you do goes above and beyond in helping families like mine and people like my son be safe. And I know that you help a lot of families that deal with other things, but for this specific issue, this one thing, this whole world is better because of what you do. And I hope that I can adequately communicate my gratitude for the work that you put into what you do. Thanks.